Guys, real quickly, let's talk about the superpowers and how to activate them. A lot of people having this conversation about powers coming back online and how to activate them. So let's speak a little about that, yeah? I hope everyone's doing fine on this beautiful Monday morning. I'm sorry for you guys who had to jump out of bed like 6 a.m. to go work for Mzungu and work for other people when the matrix is falling apart, and a lot more people are establishing their own businesses and stopping the slavery, the hamster wheel, the rat race. But anyway, it's come up a few times about the superpowers that we have dormant within us that have not been awakened because of how deeply dived in we are into this fake ass matrix, into this simulation. First of all, you may have heard about the four superpowers before, which is ESP, extrasensory perception. So we're talking telepathy, psychometry, intuition, clairvoyance. Psychometry is the ability to read objects. Let's say you came into somebody's house and you touched the chair where they were sitting, or the picture, or the TV control, and you get flashbacks of memories of this person being in the house, what they did, what they were eating, what they were thinking, what they were worrying about, what they were happy about. You're able to pick up people's energy from reading the objects that they came into contact with, because they leave a certain amount of we leave a certain amount of our energy on the objects that we interact with, the objects that we touch, right? So that's what's called psychometry. That's one of your higher senses. Then you got intuition, which is the ability to just deep down know things without knowing how you know. You just know things that are going to happen in the future, things that are going to come to manifestation. Okay, and you got different degrees of intuition, but all of us still contain traces of it. Like all these higher senses, we still have traces of them in us, even in our dormant state, but we don't have full control over them to be able to access them at will. Okay? So intuition is knowing ahead, knowing what's to come ahead and being sure of what you know without question, without doubt. You've just got a sincere feeling or a sincere knowing of what's about to occur. That's intuition. Then you have the most popular one, telepathy, which is mind to mind speaking, the ability to be able to communicate with other beings, not just people, by way of your mind. Mind to mind communication, so there's no speech, there's no audio sound, there's no sign language, signing, or none of that stuff, or facial expressions. It's strictly mind to mind communication. It usually gets the nickname psychic, but all of these powers is what you call psychic powers. There's different forms of psychic powers, but with telepathy, people just call it psychic, you know, but it's telepathy. It's creating a channel where you can send and receive messages between beings. That's telepathy. And then you got clairvoyance, which could be said as clear vision, which breaks into, all of these break into subcategories and have subcategories of themselves. But clear vision is the ability to see into other dimensions. So we're standing in 9 dimensions right now. You're only accessing one dimension, which is the 3D. We're in the third dimension, or the third density. But there's 9 densities, okay? And some people have the uncanny ability to see from one dimension into the next, or to see 2 dimensions merging because they all overlap at the same time. That's what you call clairvoyance. And as I said, they break down into subcategories. For example of clairvoyance is subcategory. You get clairaudience and clairsentience. You see what I'm saying? There's different forms of it. Clairaudience is the ability to hear into other realms. Now, we were born as 9-dimensional, 9 ether beings. That's how we manifested on this earth as the firstborn children of the sun, sons and daughters of the soil. Okay, and when we manifested, we had both lobes of our brain working. So we were using 100% of our brain. So therefore, we were using 100% of our DNA. There was no junk DNA, or there was no part of the brain that's dormant. Okay. And that enabled us to make the most out of this paradise that we call Mother Earth. We made it into a paradise based on us having full control of our being, yeah, the ability to shift between the solid state, liquid state, and gas state. We could shift between them three states of existence using our higher senses. We could become waveform energy again, and less dense, or we could densify this flesh and blood body. This was the first age of man, okay? We had 9 higher senses with 9-dimensional beings living in 9 different dimensions. And these 4 higher senses made a path to even higher senses. Stuff like telekinesis, which is object moving without touching the objects, using your energy to move a cup to you or to push a cup away. Telekinesis. We had all different forms of powers leading from these 9 senses, the 5 senses we have now, along with the 4 higher senses, led into even higher senses. So we was on a magical planet, man. Imagine how beautiful this planet would have been when the beings were operating in the full capacity of their being and their brain. Okay, kind of like the Lucy movie. We're using at the moment 10 to 15% of the brain's capacity. Most humans, you can even say, are using 5 to 7% of their brain capacity, which means humans are handicapped. It's like having a TV and only one channel works and the volume don't work. All you can do is watch the picture on this one channel. Humans are maimed, just like that broken TV, because we're not using 100% of our potential or our capacity, okay? When you reach 40% of using your mind, just 40%, that gives you access to your higher powers, meaning you will be able to use them at will. Your clairvoyance, your intuition, your telepathy, your psychometry, you can use them at will, just like you use your sight and your smell and your hearing and your touch. And you understand? We could use them at will once we reach to 40%. Most of the ancestors were using at least 40% of their entire capacity. They're both brain lobes and left and right brain lobes and stuff like that. The reason why we fell so far from that is because we lost faith in our own spirituality, Ma'atian spirituality, which was magic. The same magic, or Ma'at magic, which you call mathematics, that built this dimension into what it was back then, where it was a paradise, where most beings are ascending. We're not recycling and coming back to this earth, because what we had created on the earth made it easy for the majority of people to ascend and reach into a higher dimension. Once it got reversed and we got given all these fabricated spiritualities like the religions, Jesus, Islam, Hebrew Israelite doctrine, one God, a white man as God, all these messed up foods, processed foods, chemical foods that we began taking into ourselves. We stopped calling upon the ancestors, who was the source of our magic, the source of our power. We stopped venerating them. We stopped revering the great gods, or the Anunnakis, Neterus, Elohims. We stopped it. And we gave ourselves to somebody else's interpretation of what this dimension and reality is. And them people weren't creators. They are not creators like me and you. We have a part of the creator within us, which gives us access, Namaste, which gives us access to the higher powers. Once we cut off the connection with that, then them higher powers no longer work, because we have a spiritual audience, which is our ancestors, our ancestry, specifically our bloodline. They're watching everything that we do. You understand? Whether we're behaving, whether we're calling upon them, whether we're revering the ancestors, whether we're reciprocating with Mother Earth and all of her beings, from humans to plants to animals, we're being watched very closely. You understand? That's why they call these beings the Watchers in certain scripts, okay? And it came to a point where there wasn't a lot of people left who had faith in the old ways and the old traditions and stuff. We, through fear and through fear of loss, we took it upon ourselves to get involved with all these fabricated religions and ideologies and philosophies from outside of us, meaning from outside of Africa or from outside of melanated beings. So where we are today, we're just as dumb as anybody else, even dumber, because this is not our natural state of mind. Our natural state of mind is nine mind with nine higher senses. So once we're stripped of our superhumanness, we become the lowest humans now, okay? Even though they have five senses like us, they're used to that shit. You can't function off that shit. You're handicapped. Do you understand what I'm saying? Um, so all this McDonald's and Kentucky and Coca-Cola, alcohol, cigarettes, weed, especially the GM weed, processed chicken, processed food, high meat diets, acidic water, chemtrails in the air, the thoughts that we have about ourselves because of slavery, because of the invasion and the colonization of Africa, because of everything we've been through in this Western Hemisphere, being hunted by these people, police, the justice system, being discriminated against. All of that plays a part as to why our people have become so low and so trapped in this dense physical shell. We've forgot the jewels. In order to reactivate these powers that we've spoken about, you need to clean out your diet. You need to, and that starts, and I'm not just talking about stuff you eat. I'm talking about people that you let into yourself, that you let into your circle, that you let into your thought system. Do you understand? Certain ideas that you harbor in your head, self-limiting beliefs and stuff, Stockholm syndrome, by looking at everybody else's stuff as more important than yours. Islam is more important than African spirituality. Christianity, Greco-Roman Christianity is more important and significant than Maatian spirituality. Hebrew Israelite doctrine, Muslims, all of this stuff that we're putting over our ancestors makes us less capable of using our own powers. We can no longer tune in because we don't have that direct connection to source no more. Do you understand? That shit's been severed. And now we're calling upon other people's deities, foreign deities, man, Phoenician deities, East Indian Hindu deities, Canaanite deities, who else? Arabian moon gods, Semitic Arab Arabian moon gods and stuff like Hubal. Do you understand what I'm saying? Our power comes from spirituality. This realm is ruled from the invisible. Everything comes from the invisible realm, which is the mental realm and the spiritual realm. So we were a people that were based on the mental and the spiritual, and that gave us powers into this physical realm. So they had to find a way to get into our mental and our spiritual. And all of these religions, or not just even religions, all of these isms, religion, politics, racism, fascism, colonialism, all these isms and schisms disconnected us and took us out of our power. And then they created these fake characters, okay, because they had none. They created this Jesus figure and they stuck him in, yeah? The Hebrew doctrine, they stuck him in the Christian doctrine, they stuck him in the Muslim doctrine. And that was a form of colonization, not of your lands, but of the lands of the fertile lands in your mind. They colonized that shit with all of these foreign concepts and all of these foreign gods and this nursery science that they give us that's just based purely on the physical realm. Because you got to understand, these Mzungu people, they're trapped in this physical realm. They're trapped here. Not a lot of them get back to immortality and move on from here and go into higher dimensions. Do you understand? Really, they're the prisoners here. You are the overseers. You was the ones that was watching what was going on here, and you got caught up here and got yourself trapped here because you started taking on the beliefs and the misguidance of this Mzungu Dracula race. They have to vamp down on your power. They have to vamp down on everything you are to become more than themselves. And in order for them to do that, they have to make you less than yourself. You understand? It's a trade-off going on. So when one's high, the other one's low. When one's low, the other one's high. Yeah? Because of the fact that we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. That's what they are. They're physical beings trapped in a physical, dense dimension that are looking for a spiritual upliftment and a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings that are having a physical, temporary experience in order to watch over the earth as the gateway between the higher and the lower worlds. We got trapped here. We got tricked. The devil is subtle, Genesis 3:1. And it locked off our higher senses, rendering us no longer nine ether beings. Now we're game. We're food for anyone. They can come, they can colonize us, they can give us a new identity and tell us something else totally different from the truth, and cast you as a Negropean, where you're not even in the Genesis 1:26. You're not in the image of the God no more. You're not in the image of gods. We were made that way originally. After everything that's occurred, you're now in the image of a Negropean, or in the image of a man, a simple man, not even a God man. Five senses, dumbed down, physicality, stuck in this holographic simulation. So in order for us to re-access, like I said, you got to clean your circle, man. You got to find out the who's who around you and what influence they're having on you. Mental influence, emotional influence, spiritual influence, physical influence. Do you understand? You got to do the same with the stuff you're taking in from the media. What are you watching? What are you allowing into your sacred space, your temple? What are you hearing? What are you allowing into your sacred temple? The certain sounds. Do you understand? All of this means shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? What food are you taking in? Are you still heavy on the meat diet? Not to say everyone has to be a vegan, but are you still, every day you eat meat 2-3 times a day, you still heavy on the red meat diet? Yeah? Do you eat enough vegetables? Do you get enough energy from the sun, from your vegetables and your fruits and your alkaline water and more organic foods? Or are you still trying to cut corners, eating McDonald's, buying Kentucky, when you know full well what's going on with these joints? That's a whole nother lecture to speak about that food. Yeah? Do you get fresh air? Do you go around nature? Do you connect with nature? Do you speak to the plants? Do you speak to the trees? Do you speak to the birds? You understand? Are you kind when it comes to animals? Do you just rip plants up? Do you just step on bugs and stuff? Or are you a considerate, compassionate, reciprocal being who knows that all life is sacred, all of it? A crystal is alive. A crystal is a form of life. It's a living being. Do you understand? All them minerals, when people get buried in the earth, that contributes to what becomes a crystal. It has consciousness. Do you understand what I'm saying? How do we reciprocate with other forms of life and other beings, and especially those that don't look like us and that don't have our best interests at heart? I'm not saying to like all that Christian shit, turn the other cheek and love thy enemy and all that. I'm not into none of that. But do you conduct yourself in a way where if that person changed their ways and became a better human being, you could, do you know what I mean? You can accept that. Or are you forever, oh, yo, white people this and rare, and you've just turned into the same monster that you thought they were? You allowed them to turn you into that monster, because a lot of us have turned into the monster. You can't have access to your powers. Also, the shadow work, the work that you have to do on yourself, not just asking God to take you out of a situation, but trying to understand what part do you play in your own situation, in keeping your own self down, in standing in your own way, in burning bridges, in relationships, friendships that was your fault. You understand? The shadow work that you have to do. How hard are you working on your own addictions? Whether it's smoking, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex, whether it's, some people are compulsive liars, some people like gossip. How much are you working on yourself to make yourself better than you was yesterday? You see, you're your only competition and you're your greatest worst enemy. No enemy can be more damaging to you than you, the lower you. And no friend can be more better and beneficial to you than you, the higher you. So what work are you doing to conquer your animal nature? Because all humans have an animal nature, that the challenge is for you to bring your God self over your animal self. That's what the Sphinx meant. You can have a look at the Sphinx and it's got the body of a lion or a dog if you want, and it's got the head of a man or a woman if you want. You understand? But what that was showing is you supposed to bring that God nature and place it on top of your animal nature. And not a lot of us can do that in this current world. This is an animalistic, barbaric, instinctive world. Dog eat dog. Do you understand? But it remains the same, the challenge for you to get rid of the animal nature. You understand? Imagine when higher beings look at Earth and look at us, they see us like how we look at chickens or look at a pack of wolves in the wild or dogs. Yeah? You got people listening real negative music and bopping their head like they're saying, yeah, 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 hip hop. We all killing each other out here and we're bopping our head. We want more of this shit. Do you understand? We're animalistic beings. That's why most of these otherworldly higher beings, they don't want no part of this. They're like, yo, until they reach a certain stage where they can get rid of this animal nature, the lust, the greed. Do you understand? All of the negative stuff, the jealousy, the envy, the hate, the racism. Until they get to a certain stage, we don't even want to have interaction with these beings. To the point, let's quarantine that planet. Put it on a cosmic quarantine and leave them in that section of the universe so they don't even know there's other beings around. For the longest while, humans think it's just all about them. This is how far we are away from everything. They don't want us with them. They don't want to be with us. They don't want to mix with us. We're animals. We're barbarians. And we have to understand our ancestors actually achieved the God status. They shedded their animal nature, man. They understood Mother Nature to the fullest, to the point where they was able to master their animal nature and become a mortal god. Because men and women are mortal gods. And gods are immortal men and women. But we forgot that shit. We've gone into Christianity, we've gone into Islam, we want to dress like an Arab. This guy's an Arab, this guy's a Roman Christian. You even got black Hare Krishnas and stuff. But you won't see white people fighting over black spirituality in that way. You won't see Asian people fighting over black spirituality in that way. Don't get it twisted. They all follow us and they steal our shit. But they won't blatantly do it like black people do. We defend the Bible more than Christians defend it. Do you understand? They wrote the bloody shit. Even though they took it from our texts. We never had no book called no Bible. That shit was written by Mzungu people, Greco-Roman, in 325 AD. By collecting different ancient scriptures, editing them, and bashing them all together and calling them two books. By, like by turbo, bull, book. Two books. Old Testament, New Testament. But it's more than two books. There's a whole bunch of books, stories of the prophets that they edited and take certain things out and leave whole books out. Yo, let's leave out the book of Enoch. We don't want that in there. That's saying too much. Yo, let's leave out the book of Enoch. That's saying too much. Let's leave out certain gospels, like the Gospel of Barnabas. They left that shit out, man, and they edited the rest and fed it to you. And now we defend that more than the people who created it. The people who created it would tell you it's bullshit. These guys never existed. So we can't access our powers until we begin to work on ourselves. The more you work on yourself and you turn the focus within, and you come and connect with the sun in the morning, and you give your praise when the birds are giving their praise. They're singing their hymns to the Most High. The Most High being in this whole cosmos, there is one. You understand what I'm saying? This is where all your religion shit comes from. And he looks like me and you. He doesn't look like no hippie, no white boy hippie floating out the clouds. Do you understand? These guys have got technology 100,000 years of where we are right now. In terms of medicine, science, technology, building, all of that shit, man. It's not a fairy tale. Do you understand? They give it to you as sci-fi, science fiction, Star Wars, Stargate, Star Trek, all these alien movies, yeah? So you think that it's science fiction. So you can't even understand that science fiction long time became science fact. We're in an era of science facts, not fiction. But people think this is fiction. But they're willing to believe in angels with 40 wings. An angel that's got 40 wings coming out his back and floats out the fucking clouds. You understand what I'm saying? Or comes down here on God's behalf to fight wars. Why is angels fighting wars? Why ain't God got a bunch of warriors that when he wants some killing to happen, he sends down some warriors? Why are they using the word angel? Angel and war don't go together. Do you understand what I'm saying? They took away our real magic, our science facts, our alchemy, and they gave us beliefs, man. Dogma. Yeah? You have to understand the psychosis of dogma as to why black people, the most religious people on earth, are defending these religions more than the people who created them shits. That kind of black person, a Negropean, you can't tune back into your powers. Your powers are offline, man. They're gone. Do you understand? A lot of people ask me, where do you get your information from? Yo, my intuition's tuned in. I know things, and I'm confident saying that. I know things without knowing. Without knowing how I know, I just know things. You understand? And when I acknowledge that I know them, the universe acknowledges, okay, look, I'm going to put it on the news now. See, your conclusion was right. Do you understand? We're tuned into the Akasha records. All of us have access to it. Do you understand? So the next person asks me, yo, where's your information from? It's from me. It's from my intuition. If that's not enough for you, yo, too bad. I don't have no more answers for you. I know where to look. I know when to look. I know how to look. I know how to confirm. We've all got them powers. Intuition, psychometry, clairvoyance, telepathy. We have that. There's certain beings that when they huddle together, you ain't even going to hear nothing. All you can see subtly is a couple lights, different colors of lights flicking in their minds because they're having a conversation. You can't hear it. It's not audible. They're having a mind-to-mind conversation. Do you understand what I'm saying? You might hear a laugh here or there. You ain't going to hear no words. That's how we was before we were forced to create glyphs, hieroglyphs and cuneiform, different types of glyphs to speak. You understand? Because telepathy became banned. Because certain different nefarious beings, like your Alpha Draconians, were homing in on people that are using the telepathy. It's like Wi-Fi. It sends a beam. So other beings can track you down from your telepathy, from the signals you're putting out of your mind. They can locate you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like GPS. So in certain parts of the universe and in certain time zones, when we were under threat from these malevolent beings, we stopped using telepathy and we created different forms of communication, like reading and writing, speech. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it didn't stop us from being telepathic. Do you understand? When we were out of danger, we were able to communicate mind to mind and shit. You understand? Religion made you forget that stuff. They told you it's a fairy tale. They told you magic don't exist. They told you alchemy and all that shit, that's a myth. That's not real. But chemistry comes out of alchemy. It's a baby science that comes out of your science. Alchemy, the black, cam, ham, kemet, black. Yeah? Al-chem, the black sciences. And that was the science of mind over matter. The ancestors actually discovered where mind and matter meet. Our scientists today don't even know where mind and matter meet. But we already knew that shit 10,000 years ago, man. So that's all I wanted to say, yeah? If you're gonna bring your powers back on, you have to do the work on you, man. You gotta stop basing all your time on white folk and government and CV and jabs. You gotta base your time on, okay, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? What am I going to work on inside of me today? Okay, I'm going to work on my addiction. Okay, I'm going to go days without smoking no cigarettes or smoking no weed. Or I'm not going to have meat in my diet every day. Today I'm going to eat vegetables. And if I feel like meat, I'm going to replace it with fish. Like, what are we doing? Are we being proactive to power ourselves up? Because people think this is a joke. It's not a joke, man. A lot of people are going to be left behind. I'm talking about black people. You're going to be left behind, just like Marcus Garvey says, yo, I can't take everyone with me. If I take all my people, they'll destroy me. You understand? They'll get me killed out here. That's how I feel right now with black folk. Half of you would get me killed. If I was to try and do a Marcus Garvey thing, if I could, I would be like, yo, I'm not taking all these people. Half these people are trying to shop you. It's an Agent Smith thing out here. You are the Neo, man. You're the one that has to plug into you, your power, and defeat this matrix. This is a school for gods. Do you understand? They're trapped here in a physical realm. You're not trapped here. This is just a school for you. Yeah? Only the best of you will ascend from here now, after what this place has become. And if you do ascend from here, you will become the gods of the future, the Netchers of the future, the Elohims of the future, where people will be speaking about you in the same way you speak about Yahya or Amun-Ra or Allah or Ahura Mazda, all these gods, Tar, Osiris, Isis, Hathor. people will be speaking like us about us like that. They'll say, yo, one day, Jadefre used to live on earth with humans, you know. And when them gods were down here, it was peak. No one even knew what gods was no more. Everyone thought that shit was a myth because the Mzungu official history, conventional history taught us that we've only got myths. We don't have truth. And they told us that the myth, which is the Bible, the Holy Scriptures, Quran, Torah, they told us the myth was real. That's real history. This is facts, Bible, history. Yeah? When it's a myth. And your shit that was real, that you can dig people up and find them. You can't find no Abraham, or no Adam, or no Job, or no Moses. Not in them forms that they're putting in the Bible. But we found all these people. We've even found the tomb of Osiris. So Osiris ain't even a myth no more. They told us it was a myth. Oh, yo, these people believe in these Neteru and these Egyptian gods. It's a myth. They're Egyptian myths. It's not a fucking myth, mate. That shit was dug up in Abydos, yeah? Where you got the Osirion next to the Temple of Seti, where you can see where the dude was buried. They exhumed the tomb. They opened up the tomb. I'm sure the coffin's like 13 foot, yeah? Opened it up, yeah? Found shit, didn't tell you about it. Just brushed it off, yeah? They've found these tombs of Zosar and Ramesses the Great, who reigned for 67 years that they tried to tell us got drowned in the flood. They found these people, man. And these people had superpowers. Don't get it twisted. They wasn't called the Great for nothing. They had superpowers. That staff meant something. It came with powers and shit, man. Or that necklace or whatever. Or the golden stool in Ghana. Them shits had powers. When the Mzungu took it and put it in his museum, then obviously the ancestors deactivate that shit. That shit don't work for them. No Ark of the Covenant or no staff or no golden stool. That shit's just an ornament now. But when it's in your possession and you have your connection to the source, then that's your strength. That's your strength and power. And people don't understand that religion was a military invasion into melanated lands, not just Africa. America the same. Europe the same. England here the same had black people. They invaded us with this false spirituality. Do you understand? And they colonized our minds. So it don't even matter what part of the planet we're at. We can't even agree who we are. We can't even agree if we're black, if we're American, if we're Kushite, if we're Nubian, if we're Moor, if we're Israelite, we're Nation of Islam, Moorish Science Temple. We can't even agree. We down here pointing fingers, arguing at each other, hating each other, and not mixing with each other. My daughters and sons ain't marrying your daughters and sons. We're all fucked. We're marrying other people's shit. Foreign people messing up our bloodlines, man. So the ancestors can't even come back through some of our family lines no more. Because our family lines is so mixed up and mixed out. They need the best DNA to be able to reincarnate and come back into this physical plane. That's how we always kept it. That's why we bred the way that we did. That's why we named babies after other family descendants who had already passed. We might name the son after the great-granddad and say, yo, the great-granddad's come again. Do you understand? But we lost our powers. And our powers, there's so much variables to it. It's not just a case of, yeah, I read this Egyptian text and I believe this and now, yeah, because of that, I'm going to get, nah, mate, it don't work like that. You have to commit to the shit. You have to put the graft in and you have to prove to the ancestors that they can trust you with certain powers and certain degrees of knowledge. That's what it comes down to. Can they trust you? Have you worked enough on yourself, your addictions, your vices, your flaws, your shortcomings? Are you justified and true of voice in the stuff that you're doing? Your endeavors in this life, is it justified? I'm talking about on a Martian level. Is it true of voice? Are you being truthful when you present yourself to the world? That's what I wanted to say to you guys, yeah? Make sure you spend time on them, the significance of what I've said. Because only a few people this is even going to register with. The world's gone, man. People are gone, man. The head's gone. Do you understand? Few people are going to register with what I just said. Shout out to all of you who tuned in. Stay tuned, man, because I'm going to keep doing it until I reach the people who need to be reached. Because this shit about to hit the fan. Yeah? I am Jadefre Memnon KKR 360. That's the end of the transmission. Peace. Respect for tuning in.